Hey.
We thought we'd talk about our dads today.
I know. In a light-hearted way.
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit sad. Neither of our dads are with us anymore, so it is really on a beautiful day like this, just remembering them. I remember one thing about my dad that he always did, Marky. Whenever he came home, whatever room you were in, he used to open the front door and go, and we knew he was home. And it's classic "Hi, honey, I'm home" stuff.
Yeah.
But just that whistle.
I can relate to that because my mum used to do something like that. Whenever she went to visit her friends, the back doors were always unlocked. As you'll remember, if you're our age group, nobody ever locked their doors. And
is that really true? I think we always did.
No. And she used to walk into her best friend's house, and the greeting, or if she came to our house, the greeting was always, "Oh."
It's all of a similar level, isn't it? It's the kind of thing. But it's amazing what you remember, isn't it? Absolutely.
Good and infuriating things, but in a nice way. We loved them for it.
I mean, I grew up in the 70s and fortunately was never beaten. Yeah, never beaten. My parents were they were the few people that didn't believe in physical punishment, I think, in the 70s.
That didn't believe in okay.
My dad, I think I only remember my dad shouting once. But if you're not a shouter, the day you shout, it's incredibly effective. I only recall him swearing once. He used the F word once, and we were all it stopped everyone in their tracks.
I don't think I ever heard my dad use the F-bomb. No, ever.
It's a changing time, isn't it, from that perspective?
Yeah. What about things that at the time you now appreciate, but at the time used to infuriate you? I've got one.
Go on.
My dad disliked any confrontation of any kind. And even if you were in the right, if a neighbour came round and said, "Your son's been kicking his ball up against my house," and what,
even if you hadn't been.
No. Yeah, or even if I hadn't been, he was involved in it, and you'd say, "Wasn't me. Your son's making too much noise playing outside," and he'd never say, "Op it, they're kids." He would say, "Get inside, boy, get inside," and he'd appease them and sorry. And as a kid, you're like, "No, answer him back.
Just be on my side for once."
Yes, absolutely, be on my side for once. Or if the teachers were saying that the whole class had been unruly, I'd get the blame, and I wasn't even involved in it. But as a child, you don't want to stand up and say I wasn't involved in it.
Did your dad support you in the kind of things that you wanted to do, like hobbies and stuff like that?
Hobbies, yeah. Hobbies.
One other thing. I mean, I've just got a thing in mind because obviously I was on TV when I was 12, and for the very first one, my dad wasn't terribly interested, and my mum came with me, and then she wasn't terribly interested, whereas all the other parents of the kids really were. And much later, it caused a bit of consternation much later because I accused them later, and I said to my dad, "Well, you didn't support me in that. You weren't there supporting me." And he turned round. He turned round and he said, "This is not a question of supporting. We let you do it. That's the support that we did. We allowed you to do it." And I went, "It's such an odd way of looking at it, from my perspective." And that was a bone of contention for a little while.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But my dad, it was all about work. So at 14, I was working
down the mines, up the chimneys.
I was down up the chimney. 14, I was working on the local market every Saturday, and then when I was 16, got to get a job, boy. Got to get a job. And it wasn't about what would you like to do. It wasn't about what would fulfil you. It was about got to get a job,
making money.
Yeah. Well, not making money, but morally be some use to society.
Yes. So it wasn't even necessarily contributing to housekeeping, or we don't have to give you pocket money anymore.
Yeah. And because my sister was very clear what she wanted to do as a career, go into nursing, go into medicine, she had her path laid out that she would go into sixth form, she would then go on to college, she would then apply to all the hospitals for a training position.
In those days it was a long actual plan.
Today you could be a nurse tomorrow. And my brother,
except there are no jobs.
And me and my brother, we were just kind of like, I don't know what we want to do. I mean, a lot of things that we wanted to do were kind of like astronaut, or chauffeur to the king or queen or whatever.
You're never going to do that.
I was never going to do it. So it was just right, we've got to get a job, got to get a job, got to get a job, got to get a job.
Yeah.
And actually at the time we enjoyed that because we had our own money and our own independence.
Yes.
And, but I wish they hadn't driven that agenda so much and let me be more creative in things. But
so now you've got to your 50s and now you're creative instead.
Now I'm with you guys. But my dad was the kindest, generous. I think we agree on this. I think we both had dads, and we were obviously both very lucky, who were kind and generous and genuinely nice people. Yeah.
And you hear so many terrible stories.
Yeah.
I mean, when I came out to my mum and I said, "Will you tell Dad?" And she was the one that went, "Oh, he'll be absolutely fine. He'll be absolutely fine." And we never really talked about it.
No.
It was just a thing.
Yeah.
And that was never an issue. Thank God.
Where my dad was, I've criticised him for being non-confrontational. At the time, now I get it, but at the time, the things that I liked about my dad was he worked in retail, so he worked until 8 o'clock at night. So he was often there when we went to school. He'd never see us go to school in the rain. He'd always drive. And the car was parked a street away in the row of garages, and he'd always go and get the car out, and he'd always drive us to school if it was raining. He would
That's lovely. That's a lovely memory.
Every Saturday morning he would drive me the 3 miles to the market for my job. I'd make my own way home, but he'd always drop me off to work.
Wow.
He was just always. If I needed him, he was always there. If I needed money, he was always there. Mum and Dad were, they were always there.
Too.
But
we were very lucky.
One of the things that he used to drive my mum mad with was he was the master of making her feel she couldn't drive.
Well, I want to talk about driving because did your dad teach you how to drive?
No.
See,
No.
my dad
we
did.
fell out. We had one lesson and we fell out massively.
Okay, it didn't work quite as badly as that with me. My dad did teach me to drive, and I could tell he was biting his lip because I'm very much like my mum, and I fly off the handlers, you know.
No,
but it's. But he taught me, and at one time he went, stop the car, and I thought we were kind of doing an emergency stop thing. He said, pull up and stop the car, and he got out.
Oh.
He got out and said, unless you just calm yourself and stop being like what you're being, I am not going to teach you anymore. And he'd actually got out of the car and was leaning into the car saying it. And it's like, so that taught me a lesson. But I passed second time, third time, I can't even remember now. But he taught me within a 6-month period, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
Oh, my dad used to. He tolerated mum driving. He tolerated it, but he was always very protective of the family car.
So he wasn't a sniper. He wasn't sniping at her.
No. It was passive aggressive.
Was it on Keeping Up Appearances? It's like, watch the cyclist.
Mind the horse, dear. He would say things like, she would say, "Oh, it's my turn to drive," and he'd say things. "Are you sure? Wouldn't it be easier if I drove? Because then you can just jump out, get what you need at the shops, and then jump back in again, and we don't have to pay for parking."
That's a bit passive
or
aggressive.
Or he'd sit beside her when she was driving and do this.
And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that when they're driving. I love that.
And if
that's a superb memory.
if somebody else has ever driven your car, it's odd being in the wrong seat.
Yes.
First of all.
Yes, it is.
And then your feet want to touch the brakes,
especially if they're driving not quite in your style of driving.
So he would do the. And in the end, she'd be a nervous wreck, and she'd say, "You have to take over. You'll have to take over. I can't do this. And but he was the master at getting her to go. You drive. I've had enough. But she was perfectly capable. The only thing my mum couldn't do was park.
Okay.
So
she's a bit like
she
me.
would have to go into an empty car park and pick a spot and hope for the best.
What do you remember about your dad? I think what we are kind of saying, we both loved our dads dearly and missed them every day.
Yeah.
And wherever you are,
we'd give up everything to sit and have a coffee with them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your best memories of your dad. in the
Nice
comments. It
ones.
would be lovely.
Nice
yeah,
ones.
nice ones.
Nice
Exactly
ones.
right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just nice to do an episode where you're remembering things nicely. We don't always have to be grumpy. I mean, most
Yes,
of
we
the time
do.
we are.
Yeah, well, we
no,
are.
we don't.
It comes naturally.
It does. We'll see you next week then.
Take care.